Hi there, I'm Steve Costello, and I'm here with my psychology partner, Leo Faerberg, over there in Ireland. How are you doing, Leo?
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. It's a bit of a slow start today. I'm feeling winter. Um,
Yeah,
it's kind of dark and dismal, and
and
we've
cold.
yeah, I know, like most of Europe, we've got all this wind and rain and stuff going on, and we've even got some snow at about 200 meters higher than I live at, which is quite cool. That means I'm going to go skiing soon. Quite excited about that. But we're not here to talk about that stuff. We're here to talk about things like scary and not scary. So what's scary and what's not scary? Well, one of the things that's been popping out quite a lot very recently in my world, particularly on social media, where I speak to a lot of my clients and potential clients, is that many people are scared about the idea of seeing a therapist. They find it quite scary for lots of different reasons. We can go into a few of those in a minute. One of the reasons is they don't want to be seen to be going to therapy, which I understand. So another reason is by admitting that I need therapy means there's something wrong and I'm broken and I need fixing. And that's scary. Obviously, it's going to be scary. So we can explore those things. But one of the other things is this whole thing that we mentioned briefly last time, the whole thing of somatic awareness. So how do we feel? So you think you need to go to therapy. How do you actually feel about that? Not how do you think about that. We're good at that. We're all good at it. How do we think? What do you think about? Yeah, I think this, I think that. How do I feel about it? What's going on in my body when I think that stuff? Why have I got a headache? Have I got a headache because of all the stuff that's going on in my world? Or have I got a headache because I've got a bug? We tend to attach headaches to things like bugs or too much alcohol the night before or whatever. But quite often, a headache may be telling us something, or a pain in the arm that's not an injury, may be telling us something. So let's explore some of that. We're not going to do the big in-depth detail right here, right now, because we don't have all day. It would be good if we could. So where shall we start, Leo? Let's start with this idea of scary, not scary. Are you scary? Am I scary?
Oh no, you're not, Steve. You're a very comfortable and therapeutic person and nice to talk to. And
Thank you. That's good.
yeah, uh, that's why we've been friends for so many years. And by the way, sharing things with each other, it's very important. And actually, what I would like to mention is that we got used to the idea that emotions is like, for example, scared. It's something abstract. You cannot touch it. It's just there's nothing to be scared about. Or we teach our children, we were brought this way, like, don't be whiny, nothing to be scared about, just do it. And at the same time, you just cannot. Why? That's because actually, what people forget is that we are bodily creatures. We live in the bodies. Our bodies are our homes. And actually, what is responsible for evaluating what's scary and what's not? It's not the thinking part of the brain, it's the lower part of the brain and the rest of the nervous system that is in the body, not just in the head and in the brain, because the thinking part of the brain is actually what that, like, if we take that thinking part, it's just like 50 square centimeters of tissue, and not not all of it is just thinking, just part of it is thinking, and the rest of it, the whole other the body of and the tissues of the brain, the rest of the nervous system is the system that evaluates the environment around us and what's inside. And so emotions are basically our uh, system of letting us know. It's like a dashboard, and it's not you, and it's not your thinking part decides whether it is scary or not. It's your lower nervous system that doesn't think at all. It just gets scared. It, it gets that reaction, and it feels in the body. And we're not taught to recognize it. Now, it's the biggest. It's I wouldn't say a trend because trend is something like here is in fashion next year, like next season it's out of fashion. But it's not a fashion, it's how you operate, learn how the body operates. It's been in fashion 300,000 years ago, like million years ago. It's in fashion with every living creature on earth. It's your signaling system. That's why your brain perceives it scary, and it's scary, and that's it. No reasoning works here.
I think this is one of the challenges that I hear frequently. People are looking for reasoning. They're always searching for that reason. What is the reason? Why do I feel like my stomach is spinning around like a washing machine? What is the reasoning behind that? And then what I observe quite frequently is that that reason takes us off down the wrong track. We grab hold of something. Ah, that must be the reason. I'm going to grab it and go with that. And then things get left behind. Things that perhaps need attention get left behind. The need for therapy often gets left behind. Oh no, I can't deal with that right now. Somebody said that to me recently. I can't deal with that right now because this person had created other things that needed more attention in that moment. Now, arguably, I would suggest that some of those things didn't need attention in that moment, and they could have been switched, they could have been held on to for a little while longer. Okay, everything needs dealing with at some stage, or most things do. But try this as a little experiment. When something pops into your head, something that you don't recognize as kind of threatening and massively important, there's something I've got to do that, I've got to do this. Just put it to one side and try to ignore it for a while. And eventually it's going to come back because our body has this amazing way of saying, hey, to remember that, so it's going to come back and see what happens. In the meantime, just analyze afterwards what happened between that point where I said, I'm not going to deal with this right now, and the moment it came back. Did anything change? Did it become easier? Or did it become more difficult? Ask a few questions. Just allow yourself to study it a little bit. The results are quite amazing. I'm not going to go into it in any detail, but one of the things I can say is that people often report, well, I did do that. And guess what? When it came back, I didn't need to do it anymore. It was done. It was dealt with in a different way. Something else, something changed, and I went with the flow. So sometimes the stuff we think is really important actually needs to be left because we're just piling on the pressure. And what happens when we pile on the pressure? What happens in there? Suddenly we've got a million things going on and we don't know how to manage them. And it all gets too much. And this is where this our big friend, the stress factor, comes in. We start to feel stress and we start to feel pressure. And then what happens? Then the world gets difficult, and then that washing machine and the stomach starts up again. And we're not sure what to do with it. So we need to slow it down a little bit. We need to recognize what's going on in your body right now. When you've got something stressful thinking, what's going on in your body when that stressful thinking kicks off?
I think that the only if we're looking for reasons for therapy, let's circle it like into that. The only reason for therapy is feeling good, you know? And the reason people kind of, when they think of therapy, think it's scary, is that yes, it is a lot of work. It's probably more work than you know, but your subconscious mind, that a lower part of the brain, feels it like you have to change something. You have to open up about the things you were hiding or suppressing for many, many years. Some pains, and the social viewing as that therapy is for the weak or for the sick or whoever, but not for you. And so when probably the only way we use mind, the thinking mind here, is like as if it's a bridge. It's a tool to get into the body.
Yeah.
And therapy is not just talking therapy, it's also working with the body. Some types of therapy, like Steve and I, don't do probably, or do it partially because, but there is a whole bunch of tools, of methods working with the body, not even kind of saying a word. But I like to do it in the whole succession, the bridge. And so if you think you're a reasonable person, so that the only way to use your reasoning is just to build that bridge where you start re-evaluating therapy is not scary, but just hard. And again, maybe hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly. Yeah, surely.
Awesome. Yeah, this
But
is why my
yeah, goes step by step. It goes at your pace. It's not slowly or fast way. It's in your pace, and that's why
yeah,
you need a therapist, because a therapist helps you to balance that, to
yeah,
balance the speed, to balance the issue, to find out the issues you're talking about. And talk is just a bridge, intro
yeah,
into the body.
absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it. One of my favorite questions when I meet a potential new client is, are you willing to do the work? And obviously, I often have to explain that. And one of the things that I discover because of that question is that the fear that they thought was the fear of the therapist or needing therapy isn't that at all. The fear is, am I willing to do the work? It's going to be painful. It's going to be challenging. It's going to make me think. It's going to perhaps take me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, and comfort zone, I should say, is not at all about the comfort.
No,
It may be very painful and difficult for you to be in this state, but it's something you know, it's something that you're used to. And I think the scariest and the most uh, anxious thing is not knowing. Because even asking, are you ready to do the work? The person, probably no one, not even us as therapists, know the amount of work that is supposed to be done.
absolutely. Yeah,
But it's just something you have to change something, change uh, unknowingness. These are very, very scary thing, and I very well realize and very well understand, because I'm a human and we are human. We also have our own challenges, but it's like on the one hand, I cannot handle it anymore. It's hard for me to bear all the challenges and ever-changing world around myself, and I need support and I need help to get a step out of this place. But at the same time, I'm scared of something that is unknown, like changing or moving to the next area or next stage of your life is also unknown and scary, and seems to be hard and needs some changes to be done. These are physical changes, not just talk. It's in your changes in your head are physical. Your uh, neuron neuronal connections start growing new.
yeah,
It's work. It's
absolutely. We're
physical,
growing and
and
changing. Yeah,
very often people need to get uh, the situation to get that bad, so they have no other choice than to go into therapy. But
yeah,
probably the modern way to look at it is, don't wait when it hurts too bad. Start in implementing in small steps. Start maybe with listening to podcasts or reading books, then maybe joining a support group or something, because it's not that scary. Because many people, not I face a lot, I see a lot in my clients, that they've already been somewhere in some counseling, therapy, coaching, and a program, and they let's say, failed, but not so that they failed. They feel their therapist failed them. They didn't have a good connection. Like one lady a couple of weeks ago mentioned that her first therapist treated her like a little girl and was chastising. That's what they use, chastising her instead of giving support. And so her first impression, her first experience was not about being pleasant, but it's all harmful. That's
Mm.
probably, but therapy is not pleasant, but it shouldn't be harmful. That's the thing. And as the popularity of the profession grows, and so many people are there, and we all have our credentials. Everyone is a psychologist. So what's the difference? And here comes this part that you have to choose a human, and you have to choose. Try one, try five, try 10, unless you find the perfect match. That's why these uh, podcasts or books or social media of a professional a good start to look at, because you probably will feel that something clicks. You may be mistaken, because again, we don't read our bodies well. But at the same time, uh, don't stop at one failure.
Absolutely. So, talking about therapy and in relation to social media, I saw something reported by a user of artificial intelligence, not last week, the week before. And this person told me that he'd been using AI as a therapist. So he'd started by asking a question that related directly to him to get the response from the AI machine. And when he got the response, that provoked another response, and therefore he started using it and called it his therapist. I think that's quite dangerous, personally, because as good as AI may be at provoking us to think about things and to think about things in perhaps different ways to the ways we're accustomed to, which is part of the role of, certainly of my role anyway, how dangerous is it that you're talking to a machine as a therapist? Do you think that's dangerous? What do you think, Leo? I think it personally, I think it's quite dangerous and it can lead to greater challenges.
I think that AI may be used, as again, information source.
Yeah,
What is there in the scientific world or in the psychology world about this and this, and you get this digital and AI is exactly about just thinking, pure rational thinking. It's just analyzing information and giving out it to you. And what people don't know in the process of therapy is how the therapist is involved, because AI is not involved.
no,
It's a tool, it's a machine. It can be used for answering your question. But again, and when we get back to the idea that we treat the person as a whole person within the body, is that I would not just give information to the person or ask questions, you tell me. It's also, how are you feeling? Yes, I technically can ask, how do you feel? But it cannot evaluate your feeling. They may have all possible algorithms, but it's like, and okay, now we do this, and now what? And now how are you feeling? And another step, and there's maybe a pause, and maybe a long pause. And during this pause, it's like it's not the thoughts, it's your state is kind of altered, and is as if in the surrounded by a therapist, as if like I'm holding you in this space. And AI will never be able to do that. It may create a good illusion of a dialogue and give you good information and give you feedback on many things that you tell it, but at the same time there is that human connection that is needed in the sensational way, because when you feel bad provoked by some AI's information or question, the AI will not be able to help you regulate that and transform again into the next stage, or maybe resolve it. again, and it's physical, and it's like tension raising, tension falling, and this sensation in some part of my body hurts me, and now I kind of can let it go, and I have as a therapist to be absolutely involved in it. That's where the way at
I
least I
think,
work.
yeah, absolutely. And I think the word that you've not mentioned yet, although it has been implied, is this word of the big word, the famous word, empathy. How can AI empathize with what's going on? It can provide facts, it can provide all kinds of related information, but it
Hmm.
can't physically empathize. When I talk to a client, I empathize with what they're going through. I feel it. I notice it. I don't only think, of course, I have to think about it, but I feel it as well. And I think that's a skill that humans have that AI is probably not for now, at least, going to
And
have.
there's another thing I want to add to what, like, when the therapist is emphasizing, when the therapist feels somewhat close to what the client feels, a trained therapist, like, people are wired to empathize. Actually, most some people lack empathy. That's a whole other
That's
topic.
what I'm saying.
But
Yeah.
basically, humans are created to connect, and we all can feel, we're able to feel what's happening even in the air, and people are very dismissive of it. Many think that it's just some sensations, or symptoms of some disease or being unwell, but now the anxiety cloud is so much around the world that we just resonate with this. And it's, again, it's nervous system. It's no woo stuff. It's no just like, and vibration talk, though it's also quite a valid talk. But at the same time, a trained therapist is somebody who, like, if you get upset, I I empathize with your pain, but I don't get involved the same way. And my work is to be stable along with you. You are upset, you are scared. My job is not to be scared and be here as like stabilizing factor
Yeah.
physically. AI cannot do that. It's even. It doesn't have that stability, because it's not just that even that you stabilize around. It's not human like. It's you get stabilized with a human who is stable. That's how babies get soothed by their caretakers.
As a
And
caregiver.
we are all, and the non-thinking part of the brain is always a baby.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. Okay, we're going to have to leave it for now.
Yeah.
That's a good discussion. So there'll be more of this
Yeah.
in future episodes. Remember, if you've got a comment, if you've got a question, make the comment, ask the question, use direct messaging if you need to do that. No problem, you will get a response. If you don't ask a question, you're not going to know the answer, at least not from us. Okay, have a brilliant day. Take care. We'll speak to you really soon.
Yeah.